Hi, everybody. If you're 45 or older, talk to your doctor. Colonoscopy. We're working on some beehives today. It's been a crazy morning. Had a bunch of rain. Once the rain stopped, I was able to go take care of some plants. Then I went and took the um, bee boxes, the honey frames, honey supers off of the hives. Sorry, I've been running. And I was just setting up here 2 minutes to go, and I noticed that the laptop wasn't charging. So we don't have power out here in the shed. And well, we didn't. So we don't typically have power in the shed. I run cords out here, extension cords. Uh, we had that all that rain, so a tripped circuit breaker. We got everything figured out now. I was gonna be prepared to smoke one here with you really quick, so we're gonna have to get prepared now. Um, yeah, we got some bee or honey to extract today. I don't exactly know how much. I don't really pay attention to how much each box holds at any time, the capacity. I think it's like 75 pounds or something like that. They're not quite 75 pounds, might be less than that. But other than that, if I got a lighter still, Hash, how's it going? Good to see you. That's our honey extractor, and this is a few frames here. I got 3 boxes, 30 frames. Most of them are mostly full and mostly capped. There is a couple of spots in here where drone cells in here, and they don't particularly like to put nectar in. There's some empty spots. Our plan today is to get the honey that's on here out. So when the linden honey starts coming in, like next week or so, um, it's easier to keep separate, and I don't have the storage space on the hive for all that honey that's left to come in. So, Singro, good to see you, bro. Cheers, Skull. We do have a couple of bees left in here. I did make a video of the bee escape that I use. So yesterday, yesterday morning, I opened up the hive, brought out some empty hive boxes, honey supers that have wax built or comb in them already, but they don't have any nectar or anything. They're empty of honey. They've been extracted prior. And I took off the ones that were full of honey, these, put the empty ones on so the bees have space to come home to now. And the trick to that whole ordeal is this here. It's called a bee escape. And if I have an inner cover here, yahoo! All right, so this is the inner cover of a beehive. And then there's the outer cover that you usually see on a beehive. It's usually silver. This is the upper door for the bees to come in and out. When these honey supers were full of honey and still on the hive, I put them above this door on the hive. So the only way out would be through here, or well, the only way out of the hive would be through here or through the bottom door. And then all the bees that were in the boxes here on top of this box, the only way they could get out was through this trap door. Trap door has a hole in the top, kind of shitty light. You can kind of see it there, okay? And then they go through that hole and then come through the bottom here that has like these little pinchers that are a one-way door. So they can only go out and they can't come back in. I needed that at a couple of parties one time, but that's neither here nor there, and that was many years ago. But that's how you get the bees out. And if it works properly, as long as those hairs are lined up, sometimes they can get cocked in there or one way or another, and then they'll pass right through both ways. As long as it works, by the next morning, all you have to do is pop the freaking things off. And I had probably roughly 5,000 bees in these things yesterday morning, and today there was probably 10 when they would have loved to be in there. All right, so I've got one loaded up here. Gotta get something to drink. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to be decapping our frames today, and 4 of them at a time will go in this extractor. There's a spout in the bottom. We'll have a bucket on the floor. And this is my little makeshift strainer. So we don't filter it at all, but to keep any bee parts or big chunks of wax, that'll strain that out. But we want the pollen and all the beneficial stuff. Little pieces of wax are good. Little pieces of propolis. If you're not familiar with propolis, here's something for you, Hash. Here. Cheers, everybody. So riddle me this. Propolis is what they call bee glue, or what people call bee glue. It's this thing the bees kind of fill all the cracks with in their hives, kind of glue the frames together. But they also make beeswax, which is what the cells are actually made of. They secrete this stuff from different parts of their body. But propolis is like an antibacterial, antifungal. I mean, it keeps things in check. Long story short, we're not going to get into the issues that bees are having, but beekeepers have been harvesting this and selling it to pharmaceutical, but not typically pharmaceutical, more like the like dish soaps and hair shampoos and toothpaste and stuff like that. It's stickier than fuck. I mean, whatever, but when you refine it, it's magical stuff. I've been using it for Band-Aids on branches. Okay, whoops, you can form it. It's like putty. It gets hard, and then when the branch heals and starts growing, the branch will swell and this will fall off. Okay, but the beneficial part of it that I'm finding is I've had a couple instances when I've been spraying like fermented plant juice, and I'm assuming this is where it's coming from. And then all of a sudden I'll get some like mildewy, moldy kind of, just a little more of a mildewy looking whatever discoloration on a stem. So I thought I'd put some of this around it, and it freaking made it go away. So I don't know if somebody needs to look in this. I don't got enough time, but look into bee propolis and see if there's some way we can use that in cannabis. I don't think we'd want to be putting it on our roots because it would probably kill the bacteria and stuff in the soil. But it's amazing stuff. The bees will, if you say you get a mouse that gets in the hive and they kill it, they can't really get that mouse out of there. What they'll do is they'll embalm the son of a bitch in this stuff, and it'll keep forever. Anybody wants to check that out? It's called bee propolis. Not that we need anybody to keep freaking harvesting this shit out of the hives. I'm leaving it in mine because I think it's beneficial. But I mean, most beekeepers will scrape it completely out, sell it. And it does make it a little easier to get in and out of the beehives. But Anyways, now that we got power back, we can get going. Wasn't so much worried about the recording, but the extractor don't work without electricity. I could have bought a hand crank one, but I don't know. It's a lot of crank. Not the fun kind either. All right. This is what we're going to be decapping with. It's called a bee decapping tool. Scraper. This is our hive tool. You can pry on your stuff. Like I said, that stuff's glued together with propolis, so you got to boom, pop the shit apart. So we did that a little bit here. I'm going to separate our frames a little bit. A couple of bees left in here. Now, it's possible that we had a little issue. Is that? So we might have had a swarm. What happens at a swarm is the queen will take off with the half the bees and half the honey and form a new colony somewhere. I'm not too worried about it. It might have happened a while ago. I didn't see any, I did not see any wax. A lot of the times the wax, because they grind the wax capping off. Ugh. A lot of times that wax will be like a sawdust on the ground. I don't know. We're going to go for it. We're here. It's a little depressing. We won't get quite as much as I thought, but we're all right. What do we got here? Donkey Buds, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day at work. Cheers, brother. All right. So, anyways, oh, you know what else could happen? Now, I didn't think of this, and I've thought of this before. I have a feeling these things kind of know what I'm up to when I'm using one of those bee escapes. And I'm almost thinking that some of them bees, when they're leaving and they know that they can't get back in there, they're taking honey with them. So I've pondered that before, and I'm wondering if that's not the case. They just gorge themselves, because that's what they'll do when there's a fire and they have to escape. They'll gorge themselves on honey, thinking, okay, we're leaving and we're not coming back. And their only energy source is honey, and they need a lot of energy to rebuild the colony, because they have to start from scratch and they have to make all the beeswax. That beeswax is very expensive. It takes 6 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of beeswax. That's why beekeepers will save their beeswax. That's why another reason why we have this filter on here. It'll collect our wax, and we can melt it down then. And when we start another colony, if you can see this, I guess, when we start another colony and we start out with fresh plastic frame or foundations, we can paint on that hot wax, and it gives them a little head start, because they can recycle wax. We'll probably run into some. I'll show you if I had a hive body up here, I could show you, because a lot of the brood chamber of the beehive is recycled wax, the capping. So we just scratched off that surface that wasn't capped anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check into that theory. I haven't heard anything about it, but it seemed to me a couple of times like a couple of those bees didn't want to leave the honey supers, and it almost seemed to me like they were passing honey through to other bees. So I don't know. Just a theory, and it's looking like it here. If they didn't swarm, which I'll have to look into that, what I'll do is I'll look into the hive body, the brood chamber of the hive body, and see if there's any empty queen cells. A queen cell. Now this is fresh wax here. It's nice and light color, bright. You can see through it. The recycled stuff is more of a darker brown. Anyways, I forgot where I was going with that prior to that, but we're just here to do this and smoke. It doesn't take long. Now, the old extractor I was using had the frames in end to end next to each other. So the honey would start here. It's centripetal, so they spin around. The honey would have to run down the frame and onto the wall of the extractor. It would extract both sides at the same time, but it wasn't efficient. It didn't come out of the cells as easy. This extractor does it sideways, so it's doing one side of the frame at a time, and it goes pretty fast. You just want to make sure they're balanced, and you'll hear it if it's not balanced. I keep all the frames in here at the same angle, or same going in the same direction, so all the tops are on the same side of the. This one's empty almost completely. Put that one aside because, like I said, we got to balance them. Oh yeah, bees are smart, people. Let me tell you, they're not out to hurt you either. You know, if a person was allergic, I don't think they'd mess with them. Or I don't think the person or the bees would mess with the person. But I do have friends that are allergic too, and it's not something you want to mess with. Well, try one more here. It's funny, when I was putting this together yesterday, I thought, these are pretty hefty. And today, when I was taking them off, I was like, which one was the hefty one? They're still all right. Just take a little more effort getting them balanced. And the honey that's there is capped, so it's done. This one's almost completely empty. It's a sticky job too, but boy, once you start seeing it flow here. And I don't know if a lot of people know this. These frames are recyclable. This stuff here, once they get wax in these honey supers, they're pretty much reusable for life. Niplash, how's it going? Peace, good to see you. Thanks for stopping. And there's a couple of different ways you can store them. You can store them wet with honey, which means you didn't put them back on the hive so the bees could clean them up. That preserves them a little bit, but it also attracts pests. And then you can put them up there dry, But the dry frames tend to dry out really bad, and if they get damaged, it just crumbles to pieces, and then the bees end up having to, remake it anyways. So I leave them wet as much as possible, and then try and find a way to keep them sealed up in areas so ants can't get in there. I had a top or one box like get shifted a little bit, and there's just enough room for yellow jackets to get in there, and I kept seeing yellow jackets just flying in and flying out, and I thought they were just looking for honey because they smelt it in here. But then I started to notice they were going in a certain direction, and I zeroed in on the friggin' honey boxes here. All right, let's see. Oh heck yeah, we could. Well, I mean, you can get wax online. They sell. I think it's like $12 a pound or something like that for wax. But if you're around, I mean, I know that stuff doesn't take a lot. But if you're around Minnesota and we can meet up, I've got a little bit around sometimes, so we can get you some to make your topicals. All right, so first of all, you want to make sure all your spouts are closed on your bucket and on your extractor, and then I'm gonna go wash my hands. I'm all sticky now. I was explaining earlier, if you guys weren't here, got a hell of a lot of rain this morning, and I got a little bit set behind. And 2 minutes before I was ready to hit the go live button, I noticed there wasn't any power out here because my laptop wasn't charging. I wasn't sure if it was my laptop cord or what. So I flicked on the extractor here and it didn't do nothing. Mia, how you doing? Good to see you, me. Extracting honey a day, and we're going to get going right now. So I'm going to take the cord here. Get rid of that light. Quick look down in there. Then you want to start out a little slow. Make sure it ain't like your washing machine. You got too much laundry on one side and it's bonking around in there. I can hear it splashing now. Put the light back on there quick. Yeah, let's go. Come on, where are you? Anybody in the area here? Our first dispensary in town opened this morning. I'll probably check it out a time or two, but just to try different stuff. I can't grow everything. Well, it's nice and golden. All right, let's get plugged back in. We've been having some nice big buck deer signs around here. I've seen a buck around a couple times. They're just starting to get their horns now, or their antlers. But he's a majestic looking sucker, I can tell you that. All right. So I did take I unplugged my compost tea, but I did take a quick video of that too. It was my fly maggot compost tea, and it had a foam on it this morning about 4 or 5 inches thick. I wasn't surprised. They're all microbes, but you never know. There's some maggots in there too. When I put it together, though, for a final brew, I took all the tea bag components that I was farming the maggots in, threw them and the maggots in the bag, threw in some honey that I had left over, and there was about, I don't know, 2 pounds of shrimp that I got from a local restaurant that had spoiled, and I froze that, and now I left it sit out for a couple of days and let it ferment. Threw that in there. It's got a really funky smell up till yesterday, and now today it's got a smell I haven't smelled before. I gotta say it's probably more like oceany or something, but it's not the normal fishy ocean smell because I'll use some Alaskan fish fertilizer in my teas. It's not that kind of smell. I don't know. It's kind of funky, but I went for it and went. That's what I did this morning. I foliered the cannabis with it, and oh, there's a new video that came out before this at 11:30 of the cannabis plants from last night. I foliered with it and drenched with it. So yesterday afternoon, I did a top dressing, and then kind of hold on, not right now. Did a top dressing and worked it in, and then we had a bunch of rain last night, so I really didn't have to water it in today, but I wanted to water it in with our microbes that we're brewing there, and give them a chance to, now that the soil's wet, I figure it's easier for them to disperse, so it's probably beneficial. And I'm in the ground in these mounds that dry out real bad, so it's pretty hard to overwater out there unless we start to flood. We can flood out there pretty good. How long do I have to spin this for? Typically it don't take that long as everything's balanced, 3 or 4 minutes. You just want to make sure you get it all the way up to top speed for like a minute. But if you look down in there, if I had a light down in there, I'd be able to see little specks kind of hitting the side. I don't know how long we've been doing this now, about 3 minutes, 4 minutes there. We started at low speed, like 25%, then we went up to 50, and then I just cranked it up there. It's strain specific, let's say, on your frames, and then how well of a job you did decapping, because like right here there's a spot I kind of didn't get in deep enough really, but like right now we could probably let it go for 2 or 3 more minutes. So you can see like there, just open that up and now it's wet again. Yeah, so I mean, each side, you don't want to do it more than 10 minutes, but if it was warmer today, it would go faster because that honey would be a little thinner. The colder it is, I tried to do it in October in the basement of the house where it's like 60 some degrees. You want it like about 72 degrees minimum. The normal temperature of the beehive is 96. So they keep their bodies shivering during winter to keep the temperature of the beehive about 96 degrees. So, I mean, it's just like cannabis, strain specific. And, well, depending on the humidity in the air and whatever, the consistency of the honey is going to be a lot different from day to day. But I'm going to call that good on that side. the return on investment isn't there if you're just sitting there spinning to get a little drop. So we're going to get to the other side where there's 4 or 5 bears in this frame. But that's pretty dry frame in the center there, right? So we're going to flip it around. Here's the other side for reference. And then after one, we're going to do this whole box here probably, and then we'll open the spout on the bottom and let some of that honey out. And then you're going to want to clean the wax, the extra wax buildup on your frames before you put them back in. We're going to start up again. One of the things you can do if you are unbalanced is, say this thing was shaking around like crazy now. I would stop because now it's shook out some. Flip those frames around, hit it again for like 10, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, and then you can start extracting, because that'll knock out the heavier unbalanced stuff, and it helps even it out either way. It's got a little bit of a wobble to it, so we could do that now. In this extractor, if you get too much of a wobble going, it starts to squeak. So now we're gonna flip this around. We'll completely extract this side, and then flip it around again and redo and finish the side we started on. Oh, we already did that. Shit. Anyways, that's why we're getting the wobble, because the other side's empty. One of the reasons you need to clean these frames off, of course, I saw it on some in there, but I'm not seeing it here. Here's a little. Okay, here's a good chunk. So you want a certain amount of gap between each of these frames in here, okay? And that's what this thing here is. The one on this one and the one next to it will have these knobs or protrusions on it. That won't let the frames get pushed too far together. But we don't want them to get too far apart either. And when they build up beeswax on this thing, you want to scrape it off so you can get them together. Same thing with the stuff that's down here. That's all called burr comb. Any of that stuff sticking out. It's basically a ladder for the bees to get up and into the other parts of the hive or whatever. It's a freeway for them, but so we can get everything back together nice and tight with the way it needs to be. We got to get rid of that. So it's labor intensive. It helps to have a couple of people sometimes. So turned up to halfway now. I'm going to wash hands. Typically, it's all I can do to get a smoke in edgewise when I'm doing this. So I actually have to stop and take time. Okay, now you got to hydrate. Okay, now you better smoke one. Okay, now there's a couple people that might need to be moderated. Check out Donkey Buds. I've seen Donkey Buds around. If any of my local family is watching this, check out the people. Turn on the chats on this thing, and then look at the people in the chat. Some of the people in the chats have their own shows. Check out their grows, people. And then check out that video I put out today. You'll see a couple plants. I'm using my trail cam now. My vlogger camera or blogger camera, whatever you want to call it. Fell in one of my compost teas. And I'm back to this thing. So either way, I did put out a video of a couple plants. Oh, that's what it was. So I set it down. I had it working. It's got a short in it, so I didn't want to move it. I didn't know what exactly was in the picture, so you didn't see some of the plants, but you get to see a couple of them, and you can hear what I'm talking about. So, and those are White Widow. I believe you can see two in the picture. They're I haven't trained them in a couple of days. I'm letting them grow up a little bit, but right now they're probably 14 or so inches tall and 4 feet wide. Oh, and I think I was telling you this thing squeaks when it gets off balance once in a while. It's annoying as hell. All right. Should be good there. We'll get another one started and then we'll smoke one. These are going to be going back on the beehives or the beehive. So I'm going to leave them wet. They'll come in here and clean those up. Put the honey that's left over where it needs to be, whether they need it down in the hive itself, whether they're going to put it in some of the cells on these frames. It's up to them, but it will not go to waste. All right, next ones. And then we'll be able to open that spout and see some pour out. Appreciate everybody that checks this out. It's pretty much just for fun. One day we might do something with it. I have a training technique. If anybody's not familiar, training clip, whatever. Right now I hand make them, and it's not something that would be feasible for the marketplace. And the marketplace is so bullshit now anyways. Fuck. Whatever. We're having fun here. We're in our own little world. This one here has some, must have been a little spread apart because they got the wax a little thicker on this one. So I'll show you this quick. See how the wax is thicker right here? They've got that built out that far too. So what some beekeepers do is, this is a 10 frame Langstroth beehive. They've also got 9 frame. They've got several different styles or whatever, but they've also got a 9 frame. Or you can run this as a 9 frame. Just take out one of the frames. But what then you have to do is you'll have to spread these frames out a little bit further than these bars here. Okay. So then it gives them extra space. All they need is the space for a bee to get through. So what they'll do is they'll build that comb out a little further and then cap it. And I don't have it in here, apparently. I thought I did. They have what is called a decapping knife. It's a hot knife, or you can use a serrated knife and saw through it. But I have an electric one that heats up, and then you just scrape it down this wooden frame on both sides, and it decaps it completely wide open, and you don't have these cells that have a little bit extra honey stuck on there when you're done extracting. I'm trying to think of when I started this. I think it was 2016, 2015. Yeah, probably 2016 or 2017. I've been doing just about 10 years, I think. You lose track of time. I think before I started the YouTube, before I got into the cannabis training shit, I was running 2 hives and the YouTube, because YouTube took a lot of. I don't have any computer experience, so I'm learning as I go. I was running 2 hives, and 2 years in a row, I got 95 gallons of honey out of those 2 hives. So you can do pretty good, provided you're in the good area. We're in a really good area here. There's not really much residential. There's some industrial. Not a lot yet. It will be. This area is in, zoned industrial. Okay. So then sometimes you got to decide what one you're going to put in what direction so it stays balanced. I'm going to put this lighter side out. And wash up again. Well, it's raining. That's funny. Good thing I didn't have anything else planned today, I gotta say. And I'm glad it stopped for the 2 hours that it stopped. What else we got going on here? Ready to have a powwow, I think. Well, give it away. I have some friends that infuse it with different things, mushrooms, cinnamon, and other, different spices. I've got my extract that I made. I guess is an extract. I don't know what you call it. No, that's not in here, but you may have seen me eating it on a few different shows. It's honey. It's really black honey. And then I got a lot of family and a lot of friends, and they love the stuff. So I give it to them. If you want to go to my email, I will send you some free of charge. I just have to wait until I have the funds for mail. What I've been doing is like Dr. Danknugs. I want something on his show, and he sent me some seeds, so I'm going to send him some. Scotty, he sent me some seeds, and I sent him some. Local Weedy is sending me a little package. I'm going to send her some. It's just I don't have the slaps, and I don't have all this other crap stuff that everybody's got that I wish I did, but I'm not here really for that. But I do want to contribute something, and I don't have the cash to go, freaking, go to the Dude Grows freaking special show or whatever where they have a membership, do the memberships. I can't do all that. But, if you need some honey, you need some freaking night crawlers, you want some biochar, freaking head over. We'll make it together. Watch my video on how to catch night crawlers. Watch my video on how to catch leeches. You'll never have to pay for bait again. If you got gopher problems, watch my video on gophers, pocket gophers. Bulletproof. As long as you're not afraid of a freaking gopher trap, a steel metal snap trap, All right, we got a little squeak going on here. That must mean that side's empty. I'm going to give it just a second, though. Make sure. Yeah, it took me a little bit to figure out how to put an email on here, too. I didn't know how to do that. I think I figured it out. Somebody did use it. Yeah, not too long ago, somebody used it. So I know you'll be able to find on there. I have faith in everybody with this technology except for me. One day, maybe. And one day, possibly somebody will be bored enough in the area that want to help out. I'm always looking for help, especially with that technology. If you don't have nothing else to do and you're a lover of freaking clicking on shit, there's a spot for you here. There's no pay, but you can take any of this stuff with you. Right down to a load of firewood if you want. We got to get rid of that shit before it rots. It's curing right now, but damn, there's a buttload. They'll have to split it. All right. My buddy brought over some bubblegum runts. Smells decent. Smells really good, actually. But I don't know if that's the weed smell or if they sprayed it with something, or you never know these days, right? I did find out last year that this shit can smell like anything. On the plant, that gubble bum smelled so much like bubblegum, I couldn't believe it. But then afterwards, after it's dried and cured, it smelled and tasted like hash, which I was not upset about that. All right. And there is a place for everything. I've found out in the last year or so, too, that first of all, I didn't think I liked rosin. Then I thought I really liked rosin. Then I was kind of in the fucking middle about rosin because I had a bad experience with the shit. I'm not going to think I coated the back of my throat with it. But there's a place for it. Same thing with these things. I don't know anything about them much, but a buddy of mine gets these. And I tell you what, this tastes just like, it's not, I don't know that it's flavored or anything, but what I do know is it tastes just like the flower rosin I was squeezing with my own hands. So, and that stuff didn't taste like candy or nothing like that. It tastes like my flower. My flower rosin tastes like flower rosin. That makes sense. I don't know. To me, flower rosin has a distinct taste and effect and everything. Anyways, cheers. But anyways, this stuff's pretty good. 3 settings. If I can figure it out. So that's the hottest. Green must be lowest. Very rarely are they here to hurt you, folks. You know, I almost wish if this was a swarm, if we did have a swarm, I missed it. But if I ever get another bee swarm, I'll get it on video and you guys will be freaked out. Somewhere between 40 and 60,000 bees take off with the queen, and they'll be conglommed onto a branch somewhere near the hive, near your hive, while they get together and then go out and find a place. All those bees will be in a big ball or big bee ball, and you can pretty much, and I've done it. You can go walk up to them, snap that branch off, shake them down into a cardboard box, and pretty much you don't have anything to worry about. They don't want to mess with you because they're worried about protecting their queen. This guy's lonely because now he's not in his home. Or this girl. That's something else too. They're all female. Kind of like the cannabis we like. There are males in there, but the only ones that are doing any benefit to the hive are the worker bees. Anyways, I don't know what she's looking for. Typically, they don't hang out that long. It's a pretty young one too, looks like to me. Doesn't want to go back in there. Anyways. Yeah, I don't know either. That's right on, right on. Singros, that'd be perfect. You're south of here. Are you like somewhere by, I want to say Shakopee, but I think that was somebody else. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't get too far away from Forest Lake, but I'm really fucking easy to find. If you know where the 35E 35W split is in Forest Lake, you know where I'm at. And I'm not just talking in the vicinity. All right. Turn this down again. Let me get a little look in there. We can open our door now. All right. Uncover our pail. We've got our screen here. Oh, hang that on. Now, it seems like every time I do this, there's some kind of idiosyncrasy I forget, but I have the extractor raised up off the ground to get the bucket underneath there. But with that bag hanging down, I can only like fill up half of that bucket at a time. So we're going to be filling half the bucket. Not this time. It's going to take a while to fill it, but at some point we're going to have to fill half of that bucket, and then we'll dump it into one of the other buckets I have over here. And these are the food grade buckets somebody was talking about earlier. I think it was. You can get them in a lid for. Unfortunately, it's under $10 still, I think, but I think they used to be like $5, $6. All right. So we're done with these here. Now, since I'm just going to do 2 frames. A lot of times I'll just keep doing 4 frames at a time, going through it. But I want to clean up these frames here. Oh yeah, that one's pretty much empty. Yeah, something went on here. I think they had an idea of what we were doing. Whatever. Even if they swarmed, I'm not too upset. I mean, they're somewhere. So I'm going to put one of these other frames in there that might be a little heavier. Maybe 2. There you go. Try that. Perfect. All right, and then since I saved my wax to refine it, I just put it all here in our tray, and then we will wash the wax with plain water in a bucket, and then strain it out, and then you heat it up, typically not with fire, because when this stuff, if it should happen to boil, it's like a bomb almost, or it's more like if you had hot grease and your hot grease started on fire, that's kind of what it's like. But it is a little explosive. That one was easy to clean. This one's, yeah, not too bad either. And you don't have to be you want to be careful, but you don't have to be too careful. They will rebuild this stuff, no problem. Oops, like just now I just took a big slice out of down here. And then I'll show you where some propolis is here. This burr comb here that I'm scraping off, you got to try and get as much of that off as possible, or they'll just come right in there and start up right away. The spacers here, those are the important ones. You want them spaced out right so the bees don't get in there. If they have extra space, they do all kinds of weird stuff. And if they have extra time, they do weird stuff also. like on a day like today, if they have several days of rain, they'll, especially if they have room to do it, they'll build like little jungle gyms, kind of. It's like a playground that they'll build in there. They won't go by any building structure per se. They'll just build in every direction possible. Probably because you usually have 30,000 bees out of the hive during the day. Now you got 30,000 extra bees in the hive during the day. So, and I don't know any of them that just sit there and watch TV. So they're all wanting to do something. Some of them will actually, even in a storm, just take off out of the hive and go for it, just because they got to be doing something. So a lot of times, every few years, you have to rebuild the wax in the brood chamber. Your brood chamber is where the eggs are. The eggs have a membrane that does not get taken out of the hive and just embeds itself or adheres to the inside of this cell. And the bees, because that's where your bees live, or your bees are born at, the bees get smaller and smaller every time. So you want good big bees, so you replace the foundation every few years. And then that takes resources. So when you're in a rebuilding year, which my rebuilding year was last year, for most of it, there's still a couple that need to do it, but a rebuilding year, you'll see less honey. Like I said earlier, it's 6 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of wax. So that's why we're recycling our wax. Or, we don't just throw it away. We use it for something. Like I said, I put these back in the hive wet. Not wet from rain like we're getting out there now, but wet honey. And that stimulates them a little more too. They're like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, and then that gets them working the frames sooner. You want them in the frames working. And like I said, the bored ones, you don't want bored bees. So, boy, this one really got jacked up. Got to be prepared to be sticky. Boom. But as long as you don't add a bunch of water, moisture, you're not messing with it, whatever, your honey can potentially last forever. So it's kind of like having gold bars stashed away. If you ever need it, I am regularly offered $500 for 5 gallons. Now, that would be for bulk I don't know what the going rate for it is really. I know it doesn't really matter to me. Um, but what matters to me is that everybody gets to have some, uh, who wants some. So, and as long as we have some for here, gotta have that. I got a couple of nephews go crazy for it. When you get 95 gallons a year, though, it's that's a lot. It's not hard to get rid of because I mean, people are paying a lot of money for that stuff. So, um, I have not yet taken it up to Goodwill. We'll say that. Um, I have taken carloads of tomatoes to Goodwill. I like to see the looks on the people's faces when they get it, and then after they try it, their reaction. Some of it, I will say, does taste similar to the stuff you get off the shelves at the stores, but it's not the same. It's not. All right. Now, this winter, when I have more time, I'll go through the box itself and we'll scrape it out. These channels that the frames sit in down here, they're full of bee propolis right now. That's the bee glue. If it builds up a lot, then we start to have issues with moving the frames around when I'm doing inspections. But right now, since they're actively going, we don't want them spending any resources on rebuilding that glue. They like these frames nice and stuck together and not moving around. Okay, that can just damage the queen. If they're moving around, the queen can get damaged. So they want to glue them together. By leaving that propolis in those spots there, that's like preformed spots for these frames to sit in, and they're sticky and they won't move around now. So I can toss this off to the side. They're going to be, as soon as I put them, because like I was talking about earlier, the spacing is important. We're going to push these frames together so they're squished together, but we're also going to center them in the hive. So the space on this end is the same distance on that end. Space between the frames are all the same now because we clean uh, separators or whatever, and then maybe just take a couple get a little bit of this more of this wax off of here. Not that this much is worth recycling, and I think some of that was that was wax. Some of it might be wood. But boom. So first one's down. Pretty light now. And I can't put it outside. Oops, I just squished the bee. Start out with clean this thing off. Lots of stuff you can do with beeswax, though. I haven't made them yet, but if you take beeswax and sawdust, you can make little fire starting pucks for if you're going camping. You need something to start your fire. Now here's some of the bee propolis that they're using for caulking, basically, and I'll show you what it looks like here. Raw. So you can warm that up with your hand and it becomes pliable. It's pretty pliable now. But they put that in shampoo and all kinds of stuff. Toothpaste, you wouldn't believe it. Stuff freaking turns my hands brown just from touching it. And boy, that light is really effed up. And then they also put it in toothpaste. So let's get this next one going. Then I'm going to clean up a little bit. It's funny when you go through some of these sometimes how you got some really light stuff and then you'll have some really darker stuff. I wish I knew what the difference in the color is. I know it's a different plant that it's coming from. But as far as is it I know it's not linden because that has blue. So it's like we got a few options. One of them is clover. The white Dutch clover. Another one would be dandelion. Apple bloomed in the last month. Pear bloomed in the last month. They were in both of those. Crab apple. There's tons of crab apples around here. Flowering crab or whatever. So they're in that. Oh, boy. And any other... What else we got around here that's early blooming besides that stuff? I can't think anything. It's pretty... so the pussy willows and swamp willow and stuff like that, every couple of years they really dig that stuff. Now, I don't know if it's because a certain plant wasn't blooming at the time or if they really like the willow, so they were ignoring the other stuff. But the year we had the willow, that honey was so silky. That's the only way I can describe it, really. Silky. That I almost thought about keeping it all for myself. But I don't know. But then I would have got sick of it. I don't like keeping it around long. Now, that's something about natural raw honey is that the stuff crystallizes fast. This stuff will be crystallized before, well, if not before Christmas, sometime after, Christmas. If it's not kept in a warm area, so I'll keep this in the basement and cool, dry place. By call it New Year's, it will be at least started to crystallize. But then there's different ways to warm it up. They sell bucket warmers, and I will take the buckets and put them in a pickup in the summer. That warms them up good. They just have to get to 110 degrees for 48 hours. All right, before we get spinning again, Stony TV, how you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping. Before we get them rolling again, we'll open her up. Look at blurry as fuck. What the fuck? Is that the stainless steel shining off of that? Ah. Not bad. No, that's wax is in there, so when it gets down to the bottom there, it's wax free. I don't know if you guys can see any of that. I can't see the screen, so. But we should at least get, well, prior to yesterday, it looked like we had probably a 5-gallon pail full. We'll see. But now that it looks like they either absconded with some of it or it was robbed. I don't think it was robbed, but I think they may have. They either swarmed or they absconded with it. They figured out what I was doing and they took some with them. That's what I'm guessing. It was kind of a theory of mine prior, just because that's what it kind of looked like to me. Looked like some of the bees didn't want to leave when all the other ones did. So I think they were tipped off that some bees were not able to get back in, and they were like, "Hey, before you go, fill up for us." Whatever. Let's see, White Widow time, I think. This is the plant that I'm growing predominantly out there. Let me start this up again. If you haven't seen, Big Germ. Thanks, brother. Smoke that like button. What's going on? Oops, I busted off a chunk. Well, still impressive. This is the White Widow we're growing. Not bad. Cheers, cheers. Well, now I get to smoke that one here. I wasn't going to smoke that big bud until it was gone. Oh, it's pretty dank. To me, it tastes what like I don't know, damp, dark, dank torture room or something. I don't know. Musty, kind of. Old school for sure. This is the plant that is 21 years old. The seed was popped in 2020 or 2005. My buddy's been growing it since. I don't know what kind of issues he's had with it or anything. I'm going to be doing a interview with him at some point. I just got to figure out the friggin' logistics. You know, we're going to friggin', I don't know, whatever. Cheers. And that cold. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to get some of this stuff going too. I do have that one that I'm light depping. So I have a White Widow that I grew with my inputs, or that I kind of. So this thing just kind of sat dormant with the other ones that I got this winter. so they were just hanging out until I could get them outside. So they didn't really veg. They're more like mothers, just kind of sitting there. And then when I put them outside, it was still early enough where we were having the short light cycle. So I was supplemental lighting everything else, all the other clones, but this one I kept away from all the light. So it naturally started going to flower because of the short light cycle. Damn. And then once the days started getting longer, I started to light dep it. I have a box out back that I cover with a tarp. Go! Anyways, I hear her squeaking, so she's a little off balance. We're going to turn her up. And I'm going to get that camera plugged back in again, but now I'll show you the bottom of that bucket again. A little bit of air bubbles in it, but that's from coming out of, I mean, we're whipping air into it right now, you know what I mean? It's one of the reasons why I can't do it in a humid environment, because that's an easy way to pick up that moisture. So today, because it's raining, it's almost humid enough, but it's cool enough to where it's not holding all that water. So we've got low humidities. It's all falling from the sky and in the ground right now. Or at least low humidity in here. We're in an all wood shed that's been dry for 40 years. It's hard to get moisture in here. It's a good place to dry cannabis, but only on cool days because it does get hot. I usually have a light that I can see down in here. It's not that big a deal. It's like I said, anything that's left in there is going to go right back to the bees. And the bees are going to store it where they need it, or they'll put it right back into the honey supers that are lowest on the hive right now. Well, that's your empty side. Oh shoot, that looked like it was capped still. So yeah, you can see the pattern in there, how there's some missing, right? That was robbed or taken with them. Near as I can figure. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. Plus, I'm sticking to everything. Honey's sticky. It actually worked out really well because there's really very little I could be doing around here. I don't like being here or sitting in front of that meat smoker if there's other stuff to do. Like if I could be on the lawnmower, thankfully I can just kind of keep an eye on the smoker. This I couldn't be mowing at the same time. It's just too much stuff to do. I should be cleaning these boxes, but I busted my ass the last couple of days. It's just too damn sticky. I want to smoke with you guys a few times. Actually, I want to smoke as much as I can. I got to go back to work tomorrow. When I was on, let's see that the smoking meat show. I think I showed the plant I'm flowering. I'm pretty sure. Otherwise, there's a video that I'm showing it, I think. That one, or at least I was talking about it. That one I was kind of worried that I shocked it, stunted it, whatever. It wasn't a really developed plant when it was flip to flower, the one I am light depping. So I think I should be counting my blessings that it looks as good as it does. And I'm pretty sure today, now that I looked at it yesterday, that I am a lot happier with it. Because I think I'm starting to see the buds are small, so that's why I was kind of concerned, and it seemed like they weren't doing nothing. But they're just far enough into their transition to where I think they're starting to plump up again, or plump up now, and the calyxes are starting to swell. I'm starting to see space between the hairs, is all, you know. So they're so small because the plant was undeveloped. It's just a little experiment. I'm just seeing what becomes of this. I'm not doing it for the flower. I will love to smoke it, but I'm not doing it for production. Um, so those, it was just these little puffballs, and it seems like it was just sitting there, and that's all it was doing. It got to a certain size and just stopped. I also noticed some yellowing of the leaves, the bottom leaves, which they're only this, the plant's only this tall. It's that wide, but it's only this tall. Actually, it's this wide. uh, there's probably 50 buds on there, but maybe 6 of them are probably the top colas, which are probably going to be about the size of my thumb when the bud is still wet. So by the time they're done, they're probably going to be the size of my pinky. And the freaking smaller ones are going to be about the size of my pinky fingernail. But I thought I stunted it, and now I'm seeing those calyxes. It seems like there's the hairs are starting to spread, and the calyxes are filling in. So if it wasn't raining now, I'd go look at it. But I think in the next couple of days, I'll definitely see some development, which is cool. I think to me it is. Hey, that bucket's almost to the top of the spout, folks. And the cool thing is, not all of it comes out of here just sitting like that. So I got to kind of tip it forward. So we got to kind of dump it out too. So what's in the bucket isn't all there is in the extractor, because it's kind of cone shaped on the bottom, and then there's kind of a reservoir in there. Syngro's gone, gonna come back. That's cool. Is it raining? Yeah, it's raining good. Really happy with the cannabis, man. I'm really freaking happy with it. I did pop 2 seeds. One is from the bubble gum, or gubble bum we called it, from last year. That one is a very beautiful looking plant, and it's got 11 leaves. So I was happy to see that. It's been a couple of years since I had anything over like 7 or 8 or 7 or 9. The other one's the Dr. Danknugs Land Race. That thing stinks like a motherfucking skunk, and I can't wait to fucking find out what that's like. I love skunk. I mean, White Widow's one of my top 3 probably, but skunk has got to be my number 1. And then anything else after that, I don't know. Probably the bubblegum, or probably the blueberry sprinkle. That's another hashy one. That one smells like hash though while it's in flower too. I mean, the bubblegum one didn't smell like it until after. Ah, shoot. We can use the rain, but I've been feeding the garden. Most the vegetable garden's what I'm worried about in this, for instance. It's really shitty soil in there. It's been depleted over the years, so it's more of a sandy soil. It doesn't have a lot of organics in it. So I've been trying to slowly add that with biochar and grass clippings and leaves and whatever, wood chips or sawdust. But feeding with the fermented plant juice, I don't know exactly if that's like going to stick around in that soil much. So every time I water, I'm getting, not every time I feed, I'm getting rain after that. And I'm wondering if it's going to be washing that shit out. Um, and you don't want to overwater. I don't like using the fermented plant on with as a foliar spray. Although I could probably dilute it down enough to where I'd feel a little more comfortable. I do foliar with magnesium sulfate, Epsom salt, and activated aerated compost teas, which I'm absolutely freaking ecstatic about those teas, man. They're so beneficial. I'm spraying all the material or all the plant material in the trees, in the ground, um, just in the freaking shrubbery around me, the cattail stuff around me. Everything's bright green, healthy looking. I'm stomping on shit, kind of get it to pack down. Then I'm spraying it down with that stuff, and it seems to be really good at keeping anything nefarious away. I haven't had. I've got a couple of ladybugs in there, ladybug larvae. I have not seen any aphids on there in a couple of weeks, and everything had aphids this spring. Everything was covered with aphids this spring. Now, I did do a video, and I'm going to be uploading that at some point. Of this is cool, and I see it out there all the time, but I'm never really taking videos of it. Uh, but it's ants farming aphids on, I believe they're popple trees, saplings, anywhere from 6 inches to probably 14 to 18 inches tall. There's probably in my little grow area 5 or 6 of these trees that all the way at the top have ants that are farming aphids. So they're bringing aphids in from elsewhere, putting them on the tops of these trees, and then sequestering them there. And what they'll do is they'll lick their asses. I'm guessing it's their asses or they excrete it out their back or whatever. But if you squish an aphid and you feel they're wet and sticky, that's what they call honeydew. The ants eat that honeydew. So they farm them like cows in a corral. I took advantage of that last year, and I'm gotta say it was probably effective, but anywhere I saw those, I picked them, and then I had I had a can of ash, a coffee can of ash out there because I spread that out occasionally. So I've started putting these in there, and then I shook them up. So it killed everything in there, right? That ash did. And then I used that stuff, and I was using it in ferments, and probably did some top dressing with it and shit. Anything you can get bug parts and bug crap into your soil is going to be beneficial for you for your cannabis plants, especially, and I'm sure a freaking array of other plants because they're all feeding off that shit. Literally, shit. I got a 5-gallon pail of fresh nightcrawler castings that I'm going to be. First, I know what I'm going to use the rest of them with, but first I got to get the vegetable garden top dressed one more time. And then I'm going to take what's left and pour all of it on the cannabis plants. Because what I have coming now is steered towards flower, and I want to use up as much as I can any beneficial stuff that's going to just go away. I know some of that worm casting stuff will stick around for a long time. But if there's anything that's going to be readily, sucked up in there, I want to get it through the plant, into the plant and through the plant before I start to do the flower part of it. And that is going to start probably in about 3 weeks. I don't keep the night crawlers around for ever. I don't do the nightcrawler castings in a traditional sense. Because I think a lot of people, I think they just let them run a long time. There's not a, I don't know if anybody's doing it exactly the way I'm doing it, but what I'm doing is using the bees to make some crap as I need it. And then I'm taking those worms and they're going to my nieces and nephews for a fishing trip that they go on in August. So by then I got to have this stuff finished. And then they only get half of them though. I do put the other half in the mound. So I don't have these worms around a long time. So I don't really let it compost long, but it's not composted when the worms are in the ground. It may not be as concentrated, but it's not composted then. And like I've said before, the rabbit and deer and worm, all that stuff is pretty safe as long as you're not using stuff that isn't broke down. Now I'm only putting coffee grounds and bone meal and blood meal in there. So it's not getting, well, I did put a little piece of asparagus, a hunk of asparagus in there, but that's neither here nor there. That thing didn't even rot really. It just kind of is still in the dirt. Anyways. Them things really did a number on these frames, man. Oops, I got a bee crawling up my back. That's the tricky thing to get. It's hard to get rid of them when they're inside your shirt without getting them pissed. Now, if I would have squished her, she would have stung me. but she's not harmed. She's not going to hurt you. It's mostly the and then your reaction to, no matter how much you think, when your skin stands up or when your hair stands up on end, your skin gets goose pimples or whatever you want to call it. It's also sending out signals to friggin' the air, in the air, and those bees pick up on that shit. Dogs pick up on that shit. People pick up on that shit subconsciously. Dude, we got to balance this, baby. So like I explained before, we give it a couple of spins there, and then we'll flip them around, do the other side, and then we'll come back to that first side again. This was the last of the 3 that were in the hive. So it was the farthest away from the main activity of the honey production. That was a goofy ass way of saying that. But so it was the last one to be filled of the ones we're extracting today. So it didn't have as much in it. But we'll be all right. Take a look outside. Saying if you're in Minnesota, you're probably getting the same weather today. It's I don't know, almost like a tropical hazy. What? Shit. That's all right. You need a day off once in a while. Get rid of that light. It's just a pain in the ass. Now everything's all wet. Hope you guys are still here when I'm done wiping this off. Wow. All right. Yep. All right. Perfect. Okay. Turn this up a little bit. We're going to be making some clones here probably next week, I think. Next week, and then just because I'm doing my shit out at the grow. I'm trying to clone them out there, and I've had plenty of success. That's where these plants originally came from. Indoors, I don't have much luck trying to grow the suckers. But my buddy just picked up an AC Infinity cloner, and he seems to have some pretty good luck with that. So I'm going to take a couple of cuts myself. He's going to take a couple of cuts. And then with whatever we end up with, they're going to my buddy's house, and he's going to be the keeper of the mothers of this batch. We've got a buddy of mine that is the keeper of the mothers of a couple other batches. So we're starting to get kind of a little stable going on. Freaking A, man. After having 30 some years of smoking brown fucking brickweed to just in the last few years getting some good green stuff, if we didn't grow it ourselves, which the market green stuff was better than the bag seed green stuff we were growing ourselves. Short of a couple plants, but we didn't know anything about cloning back then either. Now to have several plants that we know are good. Damn it, what the hell? There we go. It's surreal. It's unbelievable. I don't know. Never thought it would ever happen. Thank goodness for Minnesota. I feel bad for anybody in states that are still in prohibition. And I wish our federal government would do something about just completely free the plant, man. Completely free the plant. Then you could do it at like a farmer's market. Yeah, that would bring up a whole other freaking assortment of problems, though. Too. I mean, you'd have. I would almost say you'd have to limit it to just the flower, because I know from some of the shit that I've made, it can put you on your ass. And if the wrong person got a hold of the wrong stuff, and it wasn't, if you didn't have, boy, let me tell you, there's a reason why this shit is complicated. Let me tell you, I gotta say that, because if I don't know, maybe I know there's some states that have been free from prohibition for quite a while. So maybe they know a little more, and maybe it's less of a risk than I think. But it just seems like, I don't know, if somebody got a hold of one of my tinctures that I had prior, and they just took they just got some on their freaking tongue and didn't know better, and got in their car and started driving. The stuff I have right now, within 5 minutes, probably more like 3, if you put it under your tongue, has my head freaking spinning. And that's just the size of a pea. Plus, it's already freaking, it's mixed in with honey too. So, anyways, I don't know what's up with that. That's some powerful stuff. They probably got away with a gallon, I imagine. My assessment was that we were going to get about 5 gallons today, and it looks like we're going to get maybe 4. Oh well. We need some in the kitchen. My niece needs some. She has different kinds of stomach issues, and she can only eat very few things. And two of the things, actually, one I make, and then another one that we just found out she's able to eat. I'm going to get into, and that's different kinds of mushrooms, not the psychedelic kind, but the eating kind, the actual food kind, culinary kind. Wild kind. My buddy, the white guy that has been taking care of this white widow for the last 21 years, he has given me in the last few weeks some shiitake and some white oyster that he's inoculated tree trunks and stuff like that with, or whatever, to then grow. And the damn shiitake caps were that damn big, huge, and delicious. My God, they're delicious. So that's the guy we're going to get an interview with. I want to do it as like a real interview, so I'm going to have to come up with something. Now, it just dawned on me here. A lot of people like that Chat GTP or these other chat things. Maybe I'll try that and say, hey, give me a layout of what I should do to make a good interview with the cannabis and mushroom guru, the Minnesota cannabis and mushroom guru. I've just recently run into Mike here in the last few years, and I'm blessed to have done so for sure, or gotten the chance to meet him and know him. Him and his wife, Laura. Oh, come on out of there. Oh, that's some good looking stuff there. That's what it should look like in there when those frames are, or when those I'll show it on the next one. Oh, this is the last one. Oh, no, it ain't. It's one of the first ones. This one had its capping going in this direction. The other ones were missing the capping, or we're missing the stuff here. So that seemed to me like they were sucking that out for some reason. That makes sense. Or they were taking it with them, or whatever. It was getting harvested before we could harvest it. That's a good one. That's what I want to see them look like. We might get to 5 gallons now. That didn't seem that heavy. We're going to have to balance this one too. Horn out of there. Okay, now we're going to flip these things around. And that should help balance. That's because this one's empty. Hold on. We're going to edit this out. Ha ha ha. Anybody know how to edit? I'm not really concentrating on what I'm doing here. I'm concentrating on the what I'm trying to think of to say next, really. So when I put that first frame in there and it was really light, I wasn't expecting to see really heavy frames. So that's why it was all off balance. So before we really try and balance that thing, this is a really nice one, really nice one. Before we try and balance it, I'm going to get them all, make sure they're all at least close to the same weight. I fucked that one up. We need to get another smoke on. But propolis, then, I will definitely be storing some of that away this fall, the stuff that's in these creases, and I'll be using that stuff for branch repair and if I do see any kind of nefarious looking fungus or whatever anywhere, or powdery mildew, I'm going to try and rub it on there and see if that kills it. Not that it'll kill powdery mildew, but what it might do is make the area uninhabitable for it, you know, and prevent the spread. But I think if we could find a way to get a spray made out of it or something, that might be something there. Now we're going to spin them because now it is a lot more balanced, but it's not quite there yet. Now we got to remember we got to redo the other side. Oh yeah, so what do we got this year? We're adding to the stable is just the White Widow now, right at the moment. My other buddy, let me come. I'm gonna come back just a second. I gotta get something else to drink. But my other buddy, he's got a flower they call Gangster Party. I don't know. I've tried it. It's really good. It's purple. I've never heard that name before. I don't know. Is anybody else? Gangster Party. I do have a couple of green peppers that are going to be ready and probably next week, which is nice. Ah, excuse me. All right. We're doing pretty good here. We're going to just about fill the bucket, I believe. Maybe just a little bit more. But what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to drain this into another bucket. So that's always cool to watch, I think. For me, it is. We'll wait until we're done with this one here. Yeah, you know. So all that honey strains out of there. I'm going to shut the spout. Then we'll keep our straining bucket right in here for the moment. But we'll flip this around. Flip this around and spin it first. I'm glad that I freaking was able to get that trail cam working. It does have a short in it, so I'm not going to get real productive videos, but I am going to get some videos of these cannabis plants. So you guys stay tuned for that for sure. My buddy that came over yesterday was like, what the fuck? And he's the one that was the keeper of the plants, and he got sick, and then so did the plants. So when I got them, they were looking pretty bad. And when he came over yesterday and saw them for the first time since, he did not believe they're the same plants. So I'm happy about that. I mean, I knew they looked good now, but and the one is the ice cream cake. And that ice cream cake, we're smoking some. That ice cream cake is the one that is in the very first video. That was actually filmed on the trail cam. So we're coming around again to, we've got the trail cam, we've got the ice cream cake. It is also kind of in the same condition. It didn't go fully into re-veg, and I don't know if it was re-vegging, or it didn't go quite into flower. I don't know exactly the circumstance, but it's got a good stem, but all the branches are all wispy, and that's kind of the way the ice cream cake was when I got it. It was a clone. It went out too early. It was before I was using supplemental lighting, and it started to flower. Well, the days started to get longer, and it went into re-veg. It started re-vegging. It damn near died. I thought it was dead, or I thought it was pretty much on its way to dying, so I kind of shoved it off to the side. Didn't think much of it until I was cleaning. Shit started to grow up out there again, so to make room for the plants, I had to start cutting some weeds down. And I saw this pot sitting there with the plant in it, and it had a couple, like 2 or 3 little puffs of green branch coming out of it. So there was a stem and a couple of freaking little whispers. I put it out, started taking care of it, trained it out to 5 feet wide and about, I don't know, 1.5 feet tall. Then I was watering the white widow, or the white rhino, and I stumbled backwards and sat on the top of this fucking canopy of this fucking ice cream cake, busted half the plant off. Bygones be bygones. Can't cry over spilled milk. I just kept going. It was a beautiful plant. Now it's half of a beautiful plant. Then, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks later, it had so many tops on it for this little area. It had like 190 tops. Um, it was the first time I had ever flowered anything that was that structure, that dense, anything. I got scared, so I'm like, I got to thin this thing out. So I cut out half of those. So we had about 90 tops. It was the first one to flower, and it's my buddy's favorite plant. From that moment, I did a freaking fast dry on it because we needed some smoke that year. I did a fast, like 4 or 5 day dry in an air conditioned room with a fan blowing on it, wet trimmed and bucked down to nugs. And we started smoking as soon as it was dry. I haven't smoked it since. Well, I smoked a little bit of his since, but it wasn't growing the same way. I can't wait to grow it again, and it's kind of surreal. It looks like looks the way the mother of this one did, and I'm recording it on the trail cam. So I don't know, and I'm gonna get a hell of a better expression out of it this year because I'm doing it all completely organic. Thanks, Singro, for hanging out. Appreciate you. One more quarter. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, Gangsta Potty. So it's a purple flower with green leaf. I've seen it and I've smoked it. I didn't see or smoke a lot of it, but I had a nug of it. I don't remember what freaking terps it had as far as I couldn't tell you as far as if it was myrcene, blah blah blah. It was very bright and gassy. So you can't argue with that. I don't know where or how he grew that particular flower at the time, indoor, outdoor. I've seen many different expressions. Sometimes you got these really freaking hard, freaking dank stuff inside, and then sometimes it's light and fluffy and airy. So I would not be a good judge. I know some people have said this white widow has to be grown in like deep water culture, something really, really fast. And it's not. It's grown. It's grown with general hydroponics nutrients, but it's grown in soil. I don't know. I like the expressions that. Oh, and then I've had a guy too say he didn't believe that my shit was grown outdoors. I've never flowered a freaking flowering plant in my life inside. I trained one a buddy of mine grew, but I've never flowered one. I'm trying to now, combination. We'll see what happens. Combination outdoor indoor. So it's outdoors during the day and indoors for 12 hours in dark in air conditioned dry area. It's just that we've got so much humidity around here. It could spend all day in the rain and then all night it could be not raining, but it's still wet as hell. So I don't know. All right. cheers. Then we'll I think we're done flipping that around, so we'll turn this up. Then we'll empty that bucket. But first, we'll bongs up. Cheers. I'm pretty sure Gangsta Potty is probably a Michigan flower. Can't say for sure because he does like Colorado too. But the buddy of mine frequents Michigan a bunch. He's got buddies out there. All right. We'll let that sit for a minute. Where do we want to do this? Here, we'll put you guys on the stool. We're going to put the bucket on the bench. We'll put another bucket on the floor. Ah, shit, it's going to run off. Here, we'll do it this way. Boy, that is light. We'll have to get a bigger sample, but that almost tastes like nothing almost. It almost tastes like maple syrup. It's possible they could have been, we got a bunch of maple trees, and those things sweat. It's possible they could have been getting a bunch of nectar from maple trees. All right, let's see. Get you guys over here. Put our new bucket down here. This goes up here. Wow. It's almost like watching rosin. Except we're not using wax paper. I'm going to fall over. Ugh. Nice. You got to be happy with that. definitely happy with that. Want to see it again? Let's see. Golden goodness. We're transferring from one bucket into another because with our little basket in there that goes in this bucket here, it you can only get it this full before we have to drain it. We'll have 5 gallons probably when we're done, so that's good. I'm loving that. These have only been on for a month, and the first week or so they're just getting it cleaned up. Got a little bit of wax in there. Still raining outside. Yeah, to me that almost tastes like maple syrup in a way. And honey. Cross between maple syrup and honey. Maybe that's what it is. It tastes just like honey. Oh yeah. Boy. Back in or we're gonna lose it. Oh no. Jesus. Got a mess here. Be right back. Good stuff, folks. Good stuff. All right. This goes back down here. Open that up. Oh, gotta open it up first. We gotta do this first. All right. Off we go. That rain kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't think it was going to rain again so soon. The damn lawnmower's sitting out. I don't care for that too much. Okay. If you get one of them full, completely full, and try and carry that thing around, that handle will rip through the top of that bucket. It can handle mostly full, but yeah, you don't want them completely full. Let's see, we do both sides here. Yep, all right. We're gonna let this buck for a second. we'll let that run while we scrape these other frames and get them decapped. Never mind, we won't let that run. It gets annoying. We're almost there. Ugh. Another good one. If you guys haven't seen this, our decapping tool, and we're scraping the capping off here. Doesn't take that long. You just want to make sure you get through that layer, that capping layer, or you're going to be coming back to scrape it. So just a few light little scrapes in a couple of different directions. Break through that membrane. And then we will also be running this wax through our strainer here too. We'll just let it hang and drain for a while. And we'll wash it in a bucket, wring it out, and then we can melt it down. So we'll do that, do a video on that too. Doesn't take long. And if you're familiar with landscape fabric, that is about the best thing to use as far as I've found to, I mean, you can use shit. What do you call that stuff? Cheesecloth. But I find that it's got a lot of fuzz that comes with that sometimes too, so whatever. Running on empty these days. That live the other day, smoking that pork butt. That stuff is amazing, of course. We all knew that, but it was freaking awesome. I don't know if it was because we passed midnight or if there's a 12-hour limit or whatever, but YouTube only saved the first, 7 hours and 55 minutes of that pork butt video. So I don't know what the deal is. I'll have to start it and stop it or something next time, or figure out why that is. If there's something I got to change in the settings, or I don't know. You don't usually. Oh, but anyways, it was. It only kept 11 hours and 55 minutes, and to my count, we were more like 14 hours. And I looked at the end, and it wasn't the ending because I show the pork butt in the ending. You know, we're wrapping up. We were having a powwow close to the end, but it wasn't the end. We still had a couple hours, so I don't know. We're doing better with this box here, which is nice to see. It had to be. I think them things knew that we were coming for this honey, and they took some of it with them when they figured out they were trapped. Had to be. Next time I'll investigate a little closer. We'll see if there's shavings from the capped honey, because the stuff we're scraping off now, was there yesterday. But there's also, I don't know, 10,000 bees in there also. I wonder if 10,000 bees can carry a gallon of honey. It seems like that's about what I'm. This is the drone cell I was telling you about. Oops, let's see. Okay, now they should have known better to put that stuff up here because the queen wasn't coming up here, so they weren't going to lay any eggs. She wasn't going to lay any eggs up here. They're not putting any honey in there. It's not the right size. It's not the right size cells. So I don't know. We could destroy that, and next year, or maybe, well, I don't think we'll get back to this point in this box this year, but next year they can come back and then fix that, hopefully. But you'd have to clean that out pretty good, and actually get down to the base of where they started those cells and scrape that away, because they're going to follow the pattern on there as much as they can. The pattern on the plastic frame behind here is stamped with the cell shape. All right, we're kicking her on again. Oops. Kick her off so I don't lose a finger. Hoofda. Here's the stuff that I made our tincture out of. That was all stuff. I dry sifted that stuff like 4 times and made hash out of it. Then I took that extract grade Everclear and extracted whatever I could in 3 days and squeezing like hell just with my bare hands. Then I let it evaporate off. Added honey to it. And now it kicks your ass. All right, we're going to balance this thing out again. We've got one loner frame all by its lonesome. But it is quite heavy. So we're going to spin these around. I'm going to spin this round, actually. We're going to let that one go a couple minutes. I'm going to mark the frame somehow. So we're going to give this a quick shot, and then we'll take that frame out and put this other one that is full in there. And that's how we'll keep it balanced, and we'll deal with one frame, one loner frame. So we've got all together like 6 or 7 of these boxes. This stuff will now stay on the hives, these boxes, until the end of the season. And I hope we get to fill them all up again, but we might fill 4 or 5 of them. We'll see. We might fill them all. You never know. Hope we fill 4 or 5 of them. We could use about 15 gallons this year. I wouldn't be upset with that. I would really love like 40. You know, it balanced out really nice. Nice enough to where instead of tending that sucker, we got some time to smoke one. Who wants to smoke one? Me. Oh, go with the White Widow. There we go. Just about done, folks. It's been real fun. What I'll be doing after this is we'll get everything we can out of the extractor right now by tipping it forward and getting everything to kind of coalesce in this end where the spout is. Drain as much of it as we can in bulk right now into the bucket. Then we'll close the valve or the gate and tip it a little further, and everything will hang out right in that spot. And then we'll come here tomorrow and dump it into a bucket. We'll take our scrapings here and whatever's in this strainer here and let it drip into a bucket. And we'll add probably another half a gallon to our total just from what's in the wax here. A lot of it'll stick and it'll hold a lot for a while. But it will eventually, most of it will come out. Other than that, we're going to do another training of the plants as soon as we take cuts. Oh, but then the plan was, if, like I said, we're rookies at this. We've had good luck and we've had bad luck. Some plants are easy, it seems, and some plants are just pain in the ass. And I know if we wait until we freaking find out if, I know most of our plants are good. We got 2 that are from seed, or at least I have 2 that are from seed that we know nothing about. But I know we don't want to take anything once they flower, or we don't want to try and re-veg and clone at the same time. Did that, try that, done that, didn't work. I'm sure it does work, but I couldn't get it to work. So we're taking clones now. If they don't work right now for whatever reason, then we'll still have July, and that's when I have my best luck cloning outdoors, is in July when it's hot and muggy. So I'm sure that makes sense. There are a couple of tips that I've picked up lately. And the last one, I did get that ice cream cake to root, one of them. But I know you can't drop them for one. And I think the other one had too wet a medium. So you got to stay on the drier side of the medium, whatever. But not dry. You don't want them dry out. So we'll keep trying. All right, let's get this thing flipped around. Oh. Would be nice if it quit raining now and get out in the garden. we're doing all right. We're going to have 5 gallons for sure. Whoa! How come I wasn't doing that before? Oh. The more and more we find out about our world, the more and more I'm really not surprised, but I don't know. It's astonishing about how many people are just like dumbfounded about how nature works. Okay, but here's the thing. I'm dumbfounded about how this technology shit works, so I guess I can't fucking say much. That's why we need everybody, folks. That's why we need everybody. Everybody's DNA, too. God damn it. Look at, take the cannabis plant, for instance, and the bottleneck that thing's in. We start out in a bottleneck, so we don't need any more fucking problems with diluting our freaking, or diluting? Whatever. Fucking up our genetics. But as far as I'm understanding, we're kind of breeding our way into a bottleneck. The diversity, but see, that's why I was so fucking happy to get this damn White Widow, knowing that its genetics are pure to what it was 21 years ago. This wasn't a plant that went to seed and then they just kept the seed around. This plant is the same fucking plant, okay? So it's not muddled up. I don't know about too many places other than a seed bank that's been around for 30 years or 21 years or more that has 100% clean genetics. There can't, well, I don't know. I guess there could be, but there's got to be a couple of places where the genetics are still pure, but stuff that people are working with, I don't know. There's other stuff in them, I think. That makes sense. No. We're going to have 5 gallons, though. I know that. Cheers. But, so check this out. I was looking at those plants out there, and now that they're laid out the way they are, they've got about 50, about what I would consider now going to be tops at the moment, because there's 50 colas or 50 tops. So I'm talking, let's see, there's going to be 50 colas on this plant. If I let it go up now, there'd be 50 colas on that plant. But I'm not including the what I'd probably 5, main lines going out. It's kind of like a main line. We're not including those 5 mains because those are just going to keep producing and producing and producing many, many tops or bud sites. And these other bud sites, the 45 of them in the middle and around, grow up to the point to where we're going to cut some clones, which is inconsequential, we'll say. We'll just knock 10 colas off for these cuts we're going to take. So out of the 35 whatever mains that are going up are going to get knocked down without stressing them. So we're not going to be fracturing branches. Those, I can't remember what I counted. It only takes a couple of sets of nodes to start doubling branches. Yeah, so say we knock it down and there's the tip of that branch, which will have 3 now tops, and then 2 other sets of nodes, which is 4, 7. So 7 or 35 times 7, whatever the hell that is. Once I lay them down, the ones I lay down are going to, so, yeah, boy, I'm starting to lose myself in the math. That's going to be like around 150 then after 2 weeks. After I lay those down, we give it 2 weeks of growth. That's 150, right around there. So now we got 150 tops in the center of the plant, plus those 5 tips have been growing out for a couple of weeks, or at least a week. And those tips are creating 2, 2, 2. We'll call that 20 per tip. So that's 100. I'm going to say in the next 3 weeks, each of those plants are going to have 300 colas. And then we've still got 3 more weeks after that. Then, because after that 3 weeks, then I'm going to give it that 3 weeks of growth. We're going to have 300 colas on each one. I'm going to lay them down again. All right. So now those 300 are going to become what? $2,100 tops after 2 weeks after that. So by the time these things are going into the first and second week of stretch, because they're outside, they should have 2,100 tops apiece. And still, I'm going to train them out some more because I think I can still train them. This is indoors. This is a 8 or 9 week. I think it's a 9-week flower. We should still have 6 weeks of flower left. And in order to keep this thing trained out, I have to train it out every couple of weeks. and then here and there still do some other training of it or whatever. If everything goes right, I could hit that 20-foot wide mark. Yeah. Well, you know, they got 50 on them now, and they're only this big, 4 feet wide, and right around 12 or 13 inches tall. I haven't measured them. They're looking kind of wonky at the moment in a way. They're kind of like teenagers at the moment, but yeah. But it's not going to be conventional cola. It's not going to be conventional colas underneath. So it's just going to be colas. Maybe some friggin' number twos and three number twos. You know, the under canopy, how they kind of go. You got the cola and then you got the mixed in under canopy. I don't think it's going to be more like if you took the under canopy but got rid of the cola. That's the way the whole thing is going to look. It's going to be two different levels of main buds or tops. I won't call them colas, I'll call them tops. Look back at there's a couple of videos of, well, all my plants from last year, but the ones that really show it well is the night vision one of the golden goat. That thing was the size of a freaking queen size mattress when it was trained out. But in that night vision video, you can see it shows like and the next layer, and it's just a sea of tops. I don't know. And that was only the second year that I've used my trainers. What was it? 2 years ago, I had just created them in June, put them to use for the first time in July. I grew the freaking 9-foot tall and 14-foot wide one, using them for the first time. And that was before I actually came up with the final, or not, it's not even final because I'm still working on it kind of, but that's when I came up with the gadget that I'm using now in its form that it's in now. So in a year and a half, 2 years, I've gone from zero to what we're going to see this year. And on the other on besides having to figure all this shit out and do it trial and error, it was pretty simple, and it's even simpler to use. And it benefits, man. We've been getting hit by wind here, and it hasn't fucked with anything because they're so low to the ground. The only thing that I can think of offhand that I don't really care for is it needs more airflow because it's so close to the ground. But I'm inoculating with my compost teas, so that's going to help litigate anything that might splash up on it, let's say. I'm freaking mulching. And I am going to let them come up a little bit because they got to kind of go over the outside of the perimeter of my mounds. And then they'll be free hanging. And then they'll have plenty of airflow. So we're hitting a crucial point here. We're on the next stage of training. They're getting outside the mounds. I just top dressed. They're going to get one more top dressing with the bloom or with the veg newts. One more. No. The next, so we're going to throw Nightcrawler's castings out there that I already have done. And that's the last of the veg newts we're going to get on them as far as dry amendments. The next ones are going to be the ones that I kind of dialed in for flower. The night crawlers, I'm feeding bone meal mostly, but a little bit of blood meal. Beef frass, so I'm feeding them honeybee frass. All right. Yep, we're using some wood chips. We got eggshells and everything. Chili powder. Yep, I make my own chili powder. Yeah. Airflow is the main thing that I'm worried about. It's just really low. They're in the ground. We got a lot of humidity. I'm not super worried about it. Just that's the weakest link in the grow itself. Then my other weakest link would be my drying capabilities. I don't have a climate controlled area. So what I do is I freaking jockey it around. You don't want it in the cold, damp place. You don't want it in a hot, dry place. I've got both. I don't have something in between. Uh, so what I do, and it works well, is between day and night here in Minnesota, we get quite a temperature change in the fall. And between outside and inside, outside the attic and inside the attic, we've got the dry and we've got the moist. So part of the time when it's cool, it's up in the attic, open to the air, where it's dry. And then during the day when it's hotter than hell up in the attic, it's downstairs in the garage in a cardboard box where the cardboard box is dry because it's been up in the attic too. So it keeps the freaking moisture from the air where it's cool down in the garage. It's fucking clusterfuck. But tell you what, yes, my buddies, that flower I grew last year, that bubble gum, not only because it was a good flower, you know that's amazing. But if you fuck that up, I don't care how good the flower is, it's gonna be garbage. In those conditions, I made the fucking perfect flower as far as I'm concerned. And two of my buddies are kind of hinting about the same thing. And then a couple people I gave some to, one was like, wow, that was good. I don't have a lot of experience with this stuff, but shit. The other one was like, dude, that flower you gave me, that stuff was good. I mean, real good. I'm like, all right, cool. And I don't even know who that dude was. You know, he's an acquaintance that I see occasionally, and I'm like, hey, I know you smoke here. Try this. And then a month, two later, I bumped into him again. He's like, wow. I'm like, yeah, I wish I could have saved that fucker. That one was the last one to start flowering last year. The first sign we had any inkling that it was special was before it even started smelling, it had a sticky stem. But that was the only inkling. Hindsight 2020, yes, that was I should have noticed that, and I should have doubled down on trying to clone it. It was a bag seed, so I really didn't have friggin' high hopes for it. It was a bag seed for my grow, but it was a bag seed. It started last one to flower. So I'm working on these other plants going, oh, you're beautiful. We're going to smoke you first. Mom, oh, you're going to be the best one right there. You're going to be the best. You're going to yield the most. You're going to yield the most. You're going to be good too. We'll you'll use some water. You know, we're not going to train you. We're just going to let you go. You're a bag seed. I can't smell nothing on you. You look beautiful. A couple weeks later, fucking the goddamn budworms come out, and we're fighting budworms everywhere while this not little, it's a good sized plant, started forming buds on it. And that's when I noticed it got a sticky stem. And my buddy, he's got a better smell than I do. He's like, dude, that thing smells like bubble gum. I'm like, what? A couple weeks later, I started smelling bubble gum. A couple weeks later, that sucker had nugs on it that big. It was infested with the bud worms. I was hand picking buds off because they were molding. The other 3 plants were doing the same thing. The golden goat was the first one to be infested, so I cut that sucker down, hoping it didn't get to the rest of them. Worked on the blueberry sprinkle, and then I noticed that this bubblegum one had so many trichomes on it. It was just turning completely white. So I started paying attention to this thing, and its buds starting to get to be the size of a grenade. Stickier than hell. It's smelling like crazy. I didn't think it would, well, I don't know. I didn't know exactly if it would be the best one or not, but I knew it was a good one then. So I started trying to clone it. It didn't work. And then this year, there was a couple of seeds in there. So this year we got the offspring from it, which would be half that and half a couple other things. Who knows? Anyways, that bucket's getting quite a bit in it already again. I don't remember. Did we flip these around or are we done? We are done, folks. I'll clean those cups. Now we let that sit on there for quite a while, so they can come pretty clean. That's light. Same thing. There was one that I questioned maybe. Okay, yeah. So this one, I wasn't sure if that I had scraped all them off well enough, but I did. So you can kind of see it's torn up. It's not destroyed by any means. You know, it's not hard to be gentle with it. Gotten to figure it out over the years. So that's going to go right back on the hive. It's going to go on the top. So the bottom 2 or 3 boxes, I don't remember exactly. I think it's 2. Nah, it's 3. No. Yeah, the bottom 2. See, I missed one little spot there, but we're not going to go after that. The bees will get it. The bottom 2 boxes, the bees have started filling that with nectar and turning it into honey. They were the ones that were on top of these yesterday. So the bees work their way, filling the bottom boxes first, and they work their way up to the top boxes. We're putting these on the top because they're empty. 3 of them now have honey and nectar and all that. Bees working in them. Then there's 2 empty ones on top of that. We're putting 3 empty ones on top of that. That way the bees don't feel like they're crowded. They won't try and do a swarm or anything like that if they haven't already. It's kind of up in the air. I don't think they did because I think they were just kind of trying to sneak some of that honey back out of there before I got it from them. These are going to go on top again, and then sometime the middle. I usually do it around the time everybody goes on vacation around here. And that's like August, around the 20th of August, the weekend of around the 20th of August. So that's probably when I'm going to be doing it, weather permitting, time permitting. But, you know, unless they really fill these suckers up fast, which they can fill one of these boxes up in a week, but that should bring us to about August. So that's the plan. I did release a video this morning, so if you haven't seen that, check out that video. It shows the plants and my foliar spraying. It shows a couple of plants. I've got a video of those ants farming the aphids. You can check that out if you haven't seen that before. I haven't gotten that uploaded yet, so I still got to do that. And there's another one of the clover in the backyard. I might upload that. That's predominantly where this honey from the last couple of days would have come from. Is the uh, white clover, the white Dutch clover. If you're not familiar with that, here it did kind of stop raining now. So that white hue out there and down here is the white Dutch clover. Everything out there, these bushes that you see here, those have flowers on them right now. This is the linden tree that we're going to get 40 gallons from. The trees out there, that line of trees, those are the willow, pussy willow type stuff, swamp willow. That's where the silky stuff comes from every couple of years. Those taller trees with that dead tree in the center there, that's the girl. And there's the garden. That's where we smoked our pork. There's my wild strawberries. This is me signing off. One more quarter. What's up? What's up? Let's see. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that. It's been fun. Let's see what we got here. 18. Yeah. So that's let's see, 78 and 55 humidity. Yeah. We were at 55 humidity and 78. The same thing you were at 2 weeks ago. One day, and then the very next day we were at 65 humidity and oh wait, yeah, somewhere around there. Let's see, 78. Yeah, I don't know, I'm pretty burnt out here. A second, let me look at it again. 18. Yeah, that's about right. 22-ish, a little warm. Yeah. uh oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, hanging the whole plant does help for sure. uh I did dry under a tarp one time out in the woods. That actually turned out pretty good. Um, that's the way it would dry out normally, almost, or naturally almost, dry out in the woods. But then one year I tried drying it out in a tree too and went to work. We got wind like a motherfucker and a complete dry, just dried the fuck out of it in like a day. Burnt the shit out of it too. I think it was hot that day, so probably just cooked it. Uh, we here have winter right at the end of the growing season. If you get like a 11 or 12 week flowering plant, you're running right to frost and freeze pretty much within a week or two. Um, which comes in handy here. Okay, we go from hot and humid, which is good and veg. It's a little muggy in flower, so you want to find a resilient flower um, that doesn't deal a whole lot with that kind of stuff. But once winter comes in, you can make a lot of hash, and that's nice. Um, Dealing with trim and stuff like that, especially if it's quality, it's nice to have different kinds of extracts or whatever, and it doesn't have to be hash, it can be other stuff. But when you're dealing with hash, like trying to make bubble hash in a warm place, sucks. Let's see, usually snowing here by Halloween. Yep. So Halloween here, we can usually, well, so we were famous for the 1990, what, 2 or 91, 93, depending on who you ask, snowstorm, when we got 30 some inches of snow over 2 days, but it was in, within a 24-hour period or during a 24-hour period. I was working, you may have heard of the Science Museum of Minnesota. I was working overnights at the Science Museum of Minnesota. And I was on my way home in that storm, and I got stuck on our road about 3/4 of a mile away from the house. Driving on the road, there was so much snow, it just packed in, it just lifted the car up off the ground. So the car was stuck there. I walked the rest of the way home, and a snowplow came by and plowed around it. And then I went out and shoveled the rest of it out, but that sucked. Anyways, let's tip this over a little bit and get this last bit out of here for today. And like I said, I'll let this other stuff drain out and kind of get puddled up in here. And or at least I'll finish this off tomorrow. Whatever's left in our bag, whatever's left in our extractor, because there's still stuff stuck all over the walls in this thing. And it'll be several hours before it runs down. So I dump out what we have in here. And then I'll prop the extractor up on the wall, and it'll all settle over time. And it looks like it's they're starting to clear up outside, so that's good. I'll be able to do some shit out in the garden. What do you grow there, one more quarter? Do you grow a lot of... I know, I mean, it seems like you might have pretty much close to the same growing season here. Grow any corn? I like growing corn here, sweet corn. The last 2 years, I've only gotten half of it to germinate. But I like growing tomatoes because I like making tomato sauces and stuff. And then peppers, because just about everything I make with a tomato, I'll throw some peppers in there, either blend them up or cut them up in. What else we got? I'll be working on my fermented plant juice mixture later on today. If it's not raining, then I'll have to mix it up. Right now it's got some different kinds of hot peppers in there, so I don't know what exactly that's going to do, if it'll actually hurt anything. But I think once it's fermented, it's probably not as dangerous. But we'll dilute it down. We always start out really, really low, they usually recommend 20-1 with a fermented plant juice, but I'm using some pretty crazy shit in my stuff, so I do like 10-1. Then if it works, I do 20-1. Then if it works, I do 50-50. And I haven't done that with the fermented plant. It's not necessary. But the activated aerated compost teas, they have nutrients in them, but I want to get the microbial part of it going in all my stuff. At least for now. I'm experimenting with this stuff, whatever. But since I'm using like the deer shit that I made or had made or collected, let's say I didn't make it, have anything to do with making that. The rabbit crap concoction. I don't know exactly what's the best microbes to break that stuff down. You know, what gets it to what transports it, if that's the proper term for that, but maybe what transforms it. So when I saw those maggots in that stuff that one day, I'm like, all right, we're gonna use this stuff just because it's diverse. So if we got some weed this year that freaking, I don't know, sparks or glows in the dark, maybe we won't use the maggot stuff next year. But it wasn't hard to create the conditions. It was moist. The inputs were rancid, and 3 or 4 days there was maggots. And it was completely unintentional. I did not intend. Just thought, well, we'll let this ferment a little bit, and it did. So here's our beeswax. Okay, that looks good on there, doesn't it? It is still probably 70% honey or more in there. It's just that all our little pores are full of are getting plugged by beeswax. So it will eventually seep out. I'm going to be hanging this over a small bucket here shortly. Yeah, I didn't really think this part out too much. I mean, I could just sit here for a while until it slows down. I guess I got this other. I do have one more clean bucket, but I would rather run it into a bucket with some more in it because of the surface area of a clean bucket isn't going to be. It's going to be way more than, you know what I mean? It's going to spread out a lot in a 5-gallon pail. Now, if I had a 1-gallon pail or a jar or something, oh. I think this is a clean jar if I remember right. It's just going to have a stream. Well, it's not going to drip otherwise. No, that's clean. Good. All right. So, this is going to be tricky. What I usually do is I'll use this as a pole. Let's see, what can I move the bong out of the way? We don't want to spill that. Move that out of the way. Move the weed out of the way. All right, now I'm going to prop this underneath the hive body here, or the hive honey super. All right, now that should be able to hold the weight. Now, we're going to line this jar up underneath here. Only do this stone, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever do this sober. That's just heavy enough to want to pull that sucker right over. Oh, come on, let's do it. All right. Whoa. Boy, she's swinging just about. Well, none hit the floor. One hit the ridge. All right. There's our first bucket. Now, since I want all this in the bucket with the spout on it, we're taking this half a bucket with the spout. Yeah, I know. That chair is just as old as I am. My folks picked that up as a bar stool from a bar set back when I was just right around just born. All right, now that first stuff is lighter. This other stuff is darker. It's a shame to mix them. Dang. I'll show you guys. Ugh. Surprisingly, it's about the same level in there. You can see. To me, it looks like there's two different colors. It is. One's a little darker. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to cap these both off. I'm going to fill some mason jars with the light stuff that's in the bucket with the spout. And then I'll dump the stuff that's in the darker stuff that's in the bucket without the spout in there, and then fill the jars with that. That way they're separate, and then we can mix them together if we want to mix them. That ought to work. Oh, Lordy. I just had 3 days off, and it's been the busiest 3 days of the last 3 months. Thank you. I appreciate that. One more quarter. Very much. Good job, bees. Yes. I just coordinated them. I figured they'd like this area, and they did. And they rewarded me, and they continue to reward me every year. A bucket at a time. And you know what? It's watching them go in and out of that hive. I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's cool. They've been doing it for eons. I'll be doing it for a lot longer. You know, it's a pleasure to be able to do it. I'm very lucky. This area I'm in right now is one of the best places for honey. And as far as I'm concerned, and probably many others will be finding this shit out, it's one of the best places to grow cannabis for 5 months out of the year. Without a question, we've got some of the best weather. And then you got that's strain specific too. I mean, you get a freaking shitty cultivar that doesn't like humidity at all, you're probably going to get some pretty leafy stuff or pretty airy shit. Anyways, you want to smoke one more before I sign off? Might as well call her a day. Get that in the house, start filling jars. Our jar down here that I just kind of, that is a quarter full already. So that's one bear's worth. Well, depending on the size, but I use a 12-ounce size bear. That's one bear's worth that we strained out of our waste product here. Actually, if I had a bigger open area here right now, I'd show you. But what we'll do too is we'll take all this decap stuff, because there is still honey in there. That'll go in our sieve too, and it'll be just as good. It's perfectly fine. I don't know if I'm going to mess with it now. That's probably about a bear's worth too. But what I've got going outside the door here, when I was rinsing out my pails, there was still a little bit of crystallized honey in there. So I've got some really sweet water over here. I'll take all this, dump it in there, collect the wax out of there, because I know I'm washing the wax, and then I'm going to use that water in next week's activated aerated compost tea. So that'll be our sugar source to get the microbes really going. Maybe in the next few, because that's quite a bit of honey. But I don't know. It'll probably ferment by then anyway. So all right. Other than that, check out some of the other videos. Tell your friends about these. I'm looking for one person that has the capability. I'm looking for a few people, but there's really one person that this is circled around, and that's the one person that can team up with me to get our gadget made so we can get everybody growing plants like I do. It is not one freaking problem at all. My method can be done by everyone, and you can get rid of your trellis netting. You can get rid of your freaking get rid of the other bending clips and whatever. And what do you call it? Bamboo stakes. You can get rid of the bamboo stakes. I use nothing like that. I may end up having to put a stake next to my stem to maybe anchor that better. I'm not sure. And that's on 3 plants. Like I said, all this is brand new. I kind of did this last year, but I tweaked things, and we're going a little bit shorter and a little bit wider. But the results you guys see this year can be done by anybody, and that's just not the training itself. Training them this way doesn't stunt them. So you're getting the benefit of the surface area that we're achieving by training them out, which is more direct, full-on freaking sunlight exposure or light exposure without stressing them. That means you get freaking growth every day. There is not a day that I go out there. I know I haven't done a lot of freaking stressing plants. Outdoors, I mean, like the fracturing, high stress, especially outdoors with wind, that's almost impossible unless you're trellis netting because that shit flops around and it doesn't heal. I don't even freaking go with that step. You do not fracture branches with my method. They're trained down and they just grow and grow and grow. What I'm learning right now is, see, none of them are topped either. They're clones and they're not topped. So I'm not getting the growth that I would normally see out of a seed. It's so freaking complicated and fucking confusing for me, but um so that apical meristem is still in it's still on the plant, right? It's almost, and I've heard this too, is when you tip them tips over, mostly in flower, it can shut some shit off, but directing the height of that tip, because it's not cut off, is kind of like a switch somehow, it seems, on how stuff is growing. And I haven't quite figured that out yet, but I know I don't want to take that tip off because last year when I did, the motherfucking end of the fucking plant split and then it stunted. I would have got a lot farther. And I don't like anything splitting. I don't like to strip off stuff that we've spent months growing. So people will grow tall plants, and then because none of this stuff gives them light, or just because the plant isn't focusing on it because it isn't up here with the canopy, right? They're stripping all this shit off. I did that. I didn't like it. I only did it once. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is when I grew that great big ass ball, the stuff that was the best was the top this much of the plant. I grew a big ass ball. Top this much of the plant. Up to 3 feet is what I harvested off of it. But really the top couple feet of the plant was any good as far as the best, right? There was a part of the plant was the best out of that plant. I'm not growing anything under that. I'm just growing canopy now, if that makes sense. So pretty much if you look at my plant, if you just cover up where the stem is and look at it, you're like, oh, that's the top of a pretty nice plant. While you move your hands, it's just a stem. And it's not a stem that extends a few feet. It's a stem that goes right on the ground. So all I'm growing now is canopy. Look at my plants and try and tell me how that's not the case. I don't know. Or try and explain. Like I said, this is new. I would say I saw the Northern Scrog the other day where he's just got this complete fucking thing, everything fucking completely laid out. That is awesome. I couldn't go that route, but I can get pretty damn close. And it's not going to be, oh, hey, you know what? It's not raining anymore. Want to go look at the White Widow? I'm light depping. Like I said, this plant, it wasn't developed. Okay, so it came out of the house. The timing was right. I got the idea. I'm like, well, I'm gonna flower this plant. I don't care what. I want to learn something about this plant before I flower 3 other huge ones. And I'm learning a lot. I'm learning this thing's fucking hungry as hell. I do have it out here, right? Yeah. Okay. So that thing went through stretch and everything, and I kept training it out and training it out. So all of them are going to be top-notch, very tasty, dense buds. A and B. There's not going to be anything on there that's going to be food grade, I don't think. But when this one here dries, that thing's going to be smaller than a fucking pinhead. Same thing with these. But I am seeing calyxes coming up now. So even today, they got more developed today. Oops, sorry. They got more developed today. But see, now my ice cream cake is going to be massive. It's in a pot about the same size as this bucket. It's going to be completely portable. You know, it's not tied down, it's not trellised. It never was. Oops. But because it wasn't developed, the buds are not going to be big. But I learned from it, you know. That plant's 21 years old. Not this. The cutting came from, you know what I mean. It's not a seed that was popped last year. All right. Take a walk around the garden. Cucumbers. The mounds here, the hills, you call them. Wood chips underneath, sawdust from the oak. So sawdust, grass clippings, fermented plant juice, activated aerated compost tea, and then my homemade amendments, which is worm castings and biochar, stuff like that. Cantaloupe. I haven't quite gotten those yet covered yet. Cantaloupe. This is my Big Max pumpkin. This is my Hugelkultur Big Max pumpkin. That is oak, log, firewood, grass clippings, wood chips. My homemade potting soil from last year, which is peat moss and other amendments. And then the dialed in wild rabbit shit and dialed in deer shit. Activated aerated compost tea, fermented plant juice. Acorn squash, table ace. Same setup as the other stuff. Gourds. Here's the shitty ass corn that started out like a race car, but only one row seemed to really do much. We got some more stragglers through here, but these days I'm the only one that eats the sweet corn, so we got enough. This is the linden tree that the bees love. The I don't know if it's Romans or whatever. In Latin, I guess they call it the tree of life, or the Romans call it tree of life, because of every insect that uses and likes nectar, and even some that don't. Butterflies, everything come into this thing in the next month and feast. And my bees will bring in 40 gallons of honey off of this tree this season, providing 2 out of 5 seasons they don't produce nectar. For whatever reason, they'll flower, but they don't produce nectar. Those years you don't get anything, maybe a little, but not much. Then that'll happen here. Oh, haha. Uh, zucchini, zucchini, zucchini. This is a Cubanelle pepper. It was one that I planned on giving away, and then it was one that nobody wanted. Gave away a few, but not all of them. Then we've got bell pepper, or this is hot banana pepper. Then we have bell pepper. We've got cayenne pepper, 2 of them. The next one down there is a Tabasco. Those 6 there are Cubanelle, and the 4 on the end are jalapeno. That was a volunteer tomato off of one of the other pots that I started. I didn't have a spot for it at the time. Black Beauty eggplant. Bob's Better Boy. Big beef. Bob's Big Boy. Tomatoes. These are all raspberry plants. Raspberry bushes. They will be done in July, probably the week after the 4th of July. Leaf mulch pile. This is a black raspberry here. And these are raspberries that'll ripen right about the 4th of July. And that's the dog. That's the dog, Doug. Other than that, the bees are back there in that woods line there, hanging out and eating stuff and doing bee things. But other than that, folks, I appreciate everybody that hung out today. We'll smoke one more quick with you guys. And if nobody's got any questions, or by the way, anybody has any questions at all, anytime, feel free. Including the any information anybody might want on cancer, or as far as the colon cancer. I don't have any knowledge about it other than anything I may have gone through myself. So, oh, I forgot about the apple trees too. Yeah. Marble size, that's about right. Yep, marble size right now. Same thing with our pears. A couple of our pears are a little bigger, but I don't want anybody to ever obviously die from colon cancer. But I feel like, well, I know it could be the late stages of it can be really prevented a lot easier. I fell into a late stage. It was kind of easy to ignore, and even easier to ignore because I was self-medicating myself. All right. So anybody that is noticing anything suspicious with their BMs, get checked out. And if they say, okay, say 10 years ago, they told me, oh, it's probably your hemorrhoids. Looks like it's probably just your hemorrhoids. It could have been then. And if they say that, great, fantastic. Trust the doctor, what they say, but maybe get a second opinion. And then don't just take it as, okay, you're never going to have an issue. Take it as you better make sure you double check occasionally. At 47 years old, I was diagnosed with late stage 3 colon cancer, given 1 month to have surgery, or the only thing they'd be able to do is make me comfortable for whatever time I had left. It's been over 5 years now. Went through a hell of a lot of chemo. Doctors put me back together again over time. I'm doing really well now, as you guys can see. But I don't want to see anybody else go down. People just disappear and they say that, we sadly, unexpectedly, sometimes that means other things, but died of cold cancer or whatever. They didn't say. Well, anything, whatever. It just, don't let it happen to you, all right? Zalintz, I don't believe I missed that. How's it going? Good to see you, girl. Thanks for stopping. I appreciate it. Here, let's I'm gonna put the strainer over here now. I'm gonna do a little balancing act again. Wow. Show you guys what we got out of this wax here in the last couple minutes. So that's still full of a bunch of air bubbles. You can see that, but it's not, that's not pollen, that's not wax. There's a little bit of both in there. We want the pollen in there. We want the little 400 micron little pieces of wax in there. That's all good stuff for the human body. And then we got 2 half pails full. And that was over a course of about 4 weeks of the bees bringing in honey. And right now we're in the max part of the honey flow. So they're going to be bringing back over the next 4 weeks plenty more. So we had to get some room in those hives for what they're going to be bringing in over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, other than that, let's load them up. Load them up. What did I do with that sucker? There it is. Running out of room in the bee shed these days. It was a bee shed. Now it's the bee and bud shed. I don't think Zalintz saw this. I knocked off a chunk, so we're smoking this chunk now, but check out that bud. This is the White Widow. That's what we're growing this year. Woohoo! And this is done indoors. I can't wait to see what I come up with my organics outdoors. Fuck. That's why I bet 3 fucking mounds on it. Oh, yeah, but I was talking about the cloning stuff. There are 2 plants that we're doing a little small pheno hunt on. So we'll clone them, flower the plants out, and then if they're any good, we'll keep them around and use them for production in the outdoor at times. You know, the White Widow's the one in production this year. It'll be gone to me and my bros and some of my family. And then next year, whatever we want to cycle in, typically, I mean, this is all very new, but typically I'll try and I want to get the best result possible and in bulk, because it has to last us all year till we come back again. So I kind of gamble all my eggs in one basket on one cultivar. That one year was the power plant, a couple of power plants. This year it is the White Widow. Shoot, I keep forgetting to plug this thing in. And everything is going to be getting kind of fed the same. So if I see a deficiency, I don't want to have to adjust my food for this plant or adjust my food for this plant. But I always want to try and keep something new coming in. So I'm going to do my legal amount of plants, but one of them is always going to be kind of like a pheno. I think, until I find the one that I want to smoke all the time. So, all right, now that we've said that, done that, You can see, look, you can take a look at the plants on the video I had at 11:30 this morning. They're doing pretty damn nice. Cheers. They're getting ready to do another fucking morph too. Thanks everybody for watching. Bye.